And we're live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left is Rob Ambrose, our token lefty. And together we go through what's trending in the news. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for somebody from the left and somebody from the right to get along. And if we don't get along, we're capable of having a human conversation like decent individual, because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, brother?
Good day, sir. How's your day going so far?
It was weird. I was ready way in advance.
Yeah, and then we were like 2 minutes late. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
When we're scrambling, you probably had too much time on your hands at the end. Usually when we're scrambling, we get in.
No, man, it literally took me 4 hours to get ready for this show.
Oh,
I got like 8 different. No, bro. I was looking at this 5 o'clock in the morning.
I knew when the JFK stuff. I knew when I saw the JFK files, you'd be like, "Oh yes, good.
Well, yeah, but I don't think you know where I'm going with this. What's going on, Prairie? Good morning to you as well.
Prairie, how's it going? Guys, how's it going out there to the audience? Hopefully you guys are having a great day.
Let us know how you're doing. Make sure to leave us some comments. Make sure to like, comment, and if you're on X, share this link.
Yeah, share the stream.
Share the live. It's somewhere at the top. Like, I think it's like ding, 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 ding. It's right there. Just click on the share. Post it on your wall. Post it on your page. Post it on whatever the fuck it's called. I'm too old. It used to be called a wall, but I know that's not the term anymore.
Carnage, you did your hair for us, Nico. Yes, of course.
100% every day.
He did something different with it.
When you said you'd join us, I made sure to put my weave on.
Yeah, exactly.
And here it is. Just for you, bro. What's going on, Jason?
How's it going, brother?
How'd you like the podcast with leftists here? You told me it was on your podcast yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was cool. We went late. We went like 3.5 hours maybe. But between
you don't the two of us,
say. We figured out how to fix
you and him.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Jason talks a lot.
A big circle jerk between the two of us, just rubbing.
Did he fondle with your balls a bit?
Oh yeah, of course.
Nice.
It would have been rude not to.
Did you notice how smooth his hands are?
Baby smooth.
Oh, that's fucked up. That's
nope. Yeah.
Bad Rob. Rob.
Yeah.
No.
We'll leave that. No. We'll leave that one. We'll leave that one.
YouTube, that was just a joke. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Of course.
Please. He don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, Prairie says it was a good conversation. Yeah, she was there last night. It's just super fan all around. We love.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
she is.
So what do we got in the show for today? What's on the agenda?
I have a bunch of stuff that we'll never get through.
Of course.
Like we do every day.
Like
but
always.
There's a few things. Before we go on to what's on the menu, let me ask you a question. And this question comes from Rob. I normally choose the questions, but you know what, bro? I really like that one. So the question of the day is pretty simple. Should the adult children of politicians be off limit? And the reason we're asking is because Billboard Chris kind of started something in Canada where he released some information about the son/daughter/ what the fuck
they them.
They them. What's another word? That's the they them child of Carney. So he posted. We'll tell you all about it. If you don't know what it is, it's trending, bro. Like Billboard Chris is very good at irritating people.
He started because he was the first one who brought it up, and now it's everywhere and all over Canadian Poly Twitter. And of course, the vast majority of it is libs freaking the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
You got
I got them. I have a search saved in my browser that we can just scroll and you'll see the people. And I've been responding like. I had time this morning to just scroll. I was just scrolling through my feed and I'm seeing those people. I'm like, let me jump on this one. And you know what, man? We'll talk about it. You know what? No, before we talk about it, tell me what you think. Do you think that kids? But sorry, I like the way you said it because you said adult children. Kids? Hell no, no, no. Kids? No.
Hard
no.
No.
Hard no.
And
Hard
no. Absolutely. And I'd say adult kids, essentially fair game. You know, as long as I don't want to see them being attacked necessarily politically, right? If you want to just talk about them. But the thing too about this case is Carney's she's female, like female, you know, and then transition to they, them, whatever the fuck. She's also an activist, right? So, you know, once you put yourself out there in the political arena, you're just as fair game as anyone else. I would say if she wasn't an activist, you can still talk about her, but like maybe, you know, I would sort of leave some of the stuff out, but like, you know, she's putting herself out there as an activist. So you've entered the arena, in my opinion.
You know, as you'll see, because I think he has 2 children, though. I don't think it's just one, because he has a daughter.
She looks just like him.
No. Well, but I'm saying I think that there's 2 kids involved here. I don't think it's just one, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Are they
the
both?
One that Billboard Chris is talking about is a male that is.
Are you sure? Are we sure about this? I think she's a female who transitioned to the fucking non-binary, whatever that is.
So basically, he had 2 daughters, because the thing is about your question that I liked, because I was responding to those messages, like to those posts on X this morning, and one of the things is, I don't know if you remember this. I thought it was 2 weeks ago. It was 8 days ago.
Yeah.
Remember, Trump had his granddaughter introduce him on stage a few weeks back. Then when then Trudeau did it about 8 days ago, and Carney did it too. So Trudeau had his daughter introduce him on stage, and then Carney did the same thing with his daughter. I have the video to remind people. But bro, if you open, and Carney's very good at attacking people. Like Carney, you'll see I have a few videos about him today. He has no problems attacking and making fun of.
He's a sharp guy.
Oh no, he is such a liar.
Politically sharp though. Like he's effective.
Even, nope.
I think he's certainly more effective than Trudeau.
Oh yeah, but that doesn't say much. It's like saying you're the smartest retard. Like this does not say much. But I got some videos today for you to show the type of person that he is when he gets pushed, when he actually gets questioned. Because I got a video, it's about 3 minutes long. There's 2 women journalists that actually asks him question and doesn't let it go. They just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. He does not like to be questioned whatsoever. And his attitude, yes, that's why I was so happy when I saw that. The Liberal Party of Acceptance.
Yes. It's funny because
nice.
I don't like going down that route, like just because he's testy with a female reporter to be like, oh, he's misogynistic. But you know, it's funny because you know they would do it, so you almost feel like, you know. But I guess at some point you got to break the cycle. So let's just get.
You know what? I just do irony. I'm all about irony, sarcasm, and common sense. That's what I do. That's who I am in real life. So if you're gonna attack me for if guys like Jason are gonna tell me that I hate women, I'm gonna happily show those videos where a liberal guy that has a them son and a daughter, if he talks to women the way you're gonna see in the video, oh bro, it's gonna be a pleasure for me to just look. I present to you the evidence.
Presented without comment. So
there'll be plenty of. I'm not a reporter, bro. I am never going to be called a journalist or a reporter. I don't report the news. I'm biased and I got a fucking opinion about it.
All right, so let's get some of these comments. So Prairie says, yes, they are adults. Talking about are the adult children of politicians off limits. Jason says every family member is off limits. However, if they open the mouth publicly in the political spectrum, it's all fair game. Yeah, I think that's right.
Agreed. And, but at the same time, but let me say this, let me add one thing. I wouldn't do it. personally, I wouldn't be a politician either, but I wouldn't do it. I would not attack kids. But the thing is that you look at what Billboard Chris did. He did not attack them.
No,
He posted a fucking fact saying, "Is this really a prime minister that has a they/them son/daughter? Is that the type of guy you think is going to be on the woke side of things?" That's basically all Chris is saying, right? He's not saying that kid's full of shit, he shouldn't do that. But no, he's just saying that's the evidence. What do you think about it? His post was smart, but the fact that the libs are going fucking
they're
crazy
losing their shit
just proves the point.
And that's an important distinction. We to make a distinction between attacking versus just discussing. So in the context of Chris's post, he was saying, he was more questioning Carney's judgment by saying, Mark Carney sent his daughter to the Tavistock Clinic, which has been basically a discredited clinic that's now been shut down. The book that we talked about, you brought up by Abigail Scheer.
Abigail Schreier. Abigail Schreier's Irreversible Damage.
Irreversible Damage. That's based on the Tavistock Clinic, and that book actually was part of the thing that opened the scandal that brought it down. And so he is saying Carney sent his daughter to the Tavistock Clinic. So yes, it's not really an attack. It's more just a factual thing. And then using that to attack Carney for sure, to say, do we trust his judgment kind of thing.
But at the same time, liberals and both sides are very good at doing this.
Yes.
Using words to their advantage, because it's not an attack.
Yes.
That means that I'm not able to, I'm not able to say anything. Now you'll see today, I will attack people because I don't like what they're saying. They don't, what I'm going to say are going to be attacks, but what he said, not an attack. He just presented the information, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, Justin Trudeau posted a picture with his son saying that he's starting a rap album. Bro, the guy comes from millions of dollars, and back in the day, rap,
the mean streets of Hermosa Beach.
Exactly. It came from I remember listening to Nas. I remember like listening to the Wu-Tang Clan. I remember listening to Mobb Deep. Those are guys from the ghetto selling drugs.
Can you imagine?
Not a little white preppy boy that comes from a million family. Like the Trudeau are the equivalent of the Kennedys.
Probably
Trudeau's are the equivalent of the Kennedys in Canada. So don't,
in terms of pedigree.
Exactly. So
the mean streets of the Rideau Canal. Not buying it, fellas. All right, Jason. Nobody respects women more than me. I don't know. It's still Mr. Burns. I can't get.
I thought it should have been my name after that.
Nico Lagan.
Nobody.
Tony, how's it going, brother? Good to see you. Prairies says Jason did say that about you, Nico. Yeah, we mentioned that last night.
What did he say? I wasn't there. What the fuck did he say?
Last night, just that we were like, about Nico hating women. It was an inside joke.
Obviously.
Yes. We explained it on the show. Prairies talking to Tony. I love when the guys. No,
but at least have an explanation there. Show it. Don't skip over that. He's actually.
Oh, that's right. Sorry,
I'm Jason, not that much of an asshole.
Yes, just to prove it. So Prairie, it's an inside joke because I know there are few men who value women like Nico does. He values them, all right.
I value them in the kitchen cleaning my dishes.
Yeah, that's where I was going. He values them barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
Not barefoot. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, put shoes on. No, obviously we are kidding. Nico does not hate women. In case there are any potential buyers who want to pick up the show.
I don't hate.
Nico is the guy you want your daughter to marry, but not your son to fight. The fondling that's happening.
Damn, bro. I like that one, though.
I like it.
Bro, Jesus.
Yeah.
Your lips feel good this morning.
Prairie, I took it as a joke. Jason, lol, you didn't sound serious or convincing. Of course, this is the joke. Everyone knows we're in on it. The only reason we keep mentioning it's a joke is in case there are new people who aren't sure.
Yep.
So,
but again, the question: should
Yes.
adult children of politicians be off limits?
I like what
That's the
Jason
question
said.
we have.
Yeah, if you
What
guys
did he
chime
say?
in, I like what Jason said. If they put themselves in the political arena, yes.
100%. Yeah,
Otherwise, no.
you're opening up the door.
Yep.
It's like having, it's like the best example, Hunter Biden.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
Like, that's a very easy target,
it
but
is.
you know,
Now
if
you
you're
could
gonna
say
do,
make
if
the
you're
case.
gonna do coke in the White House, chances
they
are we're
never
gonna
did.
talk
They
about
never
it.
did find who owned that coke, did they?
No, of course not.
No.
How the fuck did coke make it in the White House altogether? Whoever it
Yeah.
belonged to, right? Just saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Just saying. So let's start with the first video. Obviously, as the title says down low, we're going to be talking about Trump releasing 80,000 pages on JFK's assassination. I found the most stupendous, magnificent video of Donald Trump. So here we are. That was just tremendous. That's what,
just the best treats.
Tomorrow, announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of
just tremendous
paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact.
I like how he points that out. Like, I don't think we're going to redact anything because redaction's not good. Epstein files.
Yeah.
Pages.
I mean, that seems more relevant, right?
Of redaction. You know, when I saw this is why I told you earlier. Yes, I'm happy about this, but not for the reason that you think, because this allows me to say, I want to see the unredacted Epstein files. I don't give a fuck about JFK. You know why? Because I already know how he was killed. CIA. Like,
yes.
That's been established a long time ago. You're not going to show up and explain to me the bullet, the magic bullet that kept on killing. Like, no, come on, bro. We all know what the fuck happened.
For YouTube purposes, Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole shooter in the JFK assassination.
But you know, I'm happy that Jason is here, because not only do I know what happened this morning when I saw this, I'm like, as Jason would say, what are they hiding today?
Yeah. I mean, so
because they're sitting on a bunch of those, right? They're sitting on a bunch of those that people want to see, and they're like, we will keep them. You know, they upload them somewhere and they're just ready to post. It's just a matter of like, oh shit, we fucked up. Boop, post. Hey-o.
Yeah. You know, though, right? That you know why they probably aren't going to release the Epstein files, right? You know, Trump's all over that. Like,
you know, that's the thing. I would be. You know what? Let me first say this, because there's people that said that on the post that I made this morning, as in,
yeah.
You know, all I said is they're about to release 80,000 pages on the JFK assassination. I couldn't give two fucks about it, because obviously I already know what happened. What I want to see is the unredacted Epstein file. That's it. That's
what everybody wants to see.
And people are like, yeah, but what happens if it's Trump? I don't give a fuck if Trump's on that file. Yeah. He needs to be held accountable. Yeah. That's not okay. Not because I align with a lot of things that he's doing right now that I'm okay with him touching kids. This is, whoa, you're like, no. If he was on that plane, it needs to get exposed. I don't care who you are. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I will call them all out. But at the same time, you remember that Trudeau was on that flight list too. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
And nothing ever happened, and that was exposed. And
at the end of the day, you can't group it into these are the pedophiles that I like, and these pedophiles are okay because they're on my team, right? We just have to have a no pedophile policy. I think that's the only sacred thing, right? I always, when people say that kind of stuff, like, oh, well, it's gonna hurt this guy that you might like, and it's like, I don't give a
don't
shit.
give a
Like,
fuck.
I don't give
a
two
fuck.
fucks. I just
Nope.
want to know who's diddling kids. And now, let me ask you this though: if someone shows up on that list, is it a guarantee that they are diddling kids? Is that sort of how this plays out, or could there be a, an innocent scenario, like, that maybe they go down there and they fuck, I don't know, 20-year-old prostitutes? I don't know enough about like the Epstein Island. I never really dug into the specifics of how this worked.
Here's an example I like to use all the time when it comes to those type of situations and when it comes to corrupt cops. That's an example I've used so many times. So as per the law in Canada and most places in the US, if you and I are friends, you commit a crime, you tell me about it. I'm aware. I doesn't mean I was there, but I'm aware that you committed a crime.
Yeah.
If you're prosecuted, you open your mouth saying, I wasn't alone, he knew. So you throw me under the bus, or somebody exposes the fact that I was aware, I would be held accountable. I would be
after the fact
accessory to whatever the fuck the crime is. So this is an example I use with police officers. Do I believe that all police officers are corrupt? No, of course not. I know some of them are great people, but at the same time, do they all know who is corrupt? That's the part that, you know what, if there's police officers out there, I understand why you're doing it. You don't want to lose your job. I get it. No need to explain this. But at the same time, it's hypocritical, because if I was you, as I just explained, if I knew somebody that's committing a crime and I'm not reporting him, and it shows up that I knew, I'm accessory to a crime. So in the same case as this, does it mean that because, let's say you're on the flight log, does it mean that you diddled with kids? Not necessarily. But it doesn't look. You're gonna have to explain to me. You're gonna have a lot of explaining to do as to why the fuck were you on that? Flight in the first place? So that's the part. It's like, did everybody that went to a Diddy party did some fucked up?
Probably not.
Probably not.
True. Yeah.
But are you telling me that they didn't know that there wasn't rumors in the back end that people didn't know what Diddy did? Bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's probably the fair way to look at it. It's certainly going to call your judgment and your probably your morality into question, even if we don't necessarily jump to you're a diddler. But yeah, I think you're right, and certainly any current politician is going to have to answer some hard questions. And I think, I like that you are, if it's Trump's on it, you want to see that too. Because
it doesn't matter to me. It's not.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
I've said this as a Christian. I'm supposed to forgive. I'm supposed to let God do his job. But I do have a problem with diddlers. This is one of the things I have a very hard line with. I'm not going to say. I've said it on my podcast many times what I would do to them. I cannot say it here because we're going to get in trouble. But this is where, to me, is a very hard line. Like, I don't care what people do to each other. I don't care your sexual orientation, even if I don't agree with it, that it doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't matter to me. Don't care. That's your thing, whatever. But kids, this is where there's no turning back. You cross that line, you forfeited. You're going to meet your maker. Like, you forfeited that. I have no pity. Zero pity for them. Zero.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. It's a problem.
We'll just get a couple of these comments and then
go for it, man. I'm pretty much done on this. Like, there wasn't much to say outside that I don't give a fuck about the 80,000 pages. What I want.
Yeah, we got to talk about it. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to dig into it myself. I'll wait for the people who, there will be people digging into it and they'll tell us the important bits. Jason, 2014 was a hell of a year. Hunter was cutting with Burisma while his father had the DA investigating Burisma fired. Oh yeah, there was presidential coup that year. That's a good point. And this sort of like, that puts Hunter in the political arena, so which makes him, in my opinion, fair game for attacks on him. Once he's using his connections with his father to Burisma, in case the audience is not clear, is a Ukrainian company that I don't even know the specifics. I just know it was corruption. He was getting paid like $1 million a year for consultant to be a consultant, right? And I'm sure he's as effective as a consultant as he is an artist. As you know, and so when he's selling what $500,000 paintings, I'm skeptical.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I'm skeptical.
Not convinced. Yeah, you and me both, brother. I'm not convinced.
They'll definitely redact or admit no new info is coming out that's talking about the Epstein list. I think so. I think I just think it's going to implicate too many people who are still powerful for there to not be heavy redactions. And it isn't just Trump. It's going to be a lot of people from all over the political spectrum. Probably a lot of people who you would be surprised at. Tony, notice how halted he speaks since the election. Was he replaced by a robot? I don't think he was. But I did notice that. I don't know if it's a new speech affectation he's trying out, or
what do you mean?
Like he seems to take pauses in between his sentences in a way that I don't know. It seems like a new way to speak. He's still got the typical Trump way of speaking, but I felt, I don't know if he was just doing that intentionally as a way to try to, change his like, for example, Barack Obama, the way he speaks, he intentionally does that when he gives a speech, right?
I can explain it to you. It's something that I do too. If you pay attention, sometimes I will pause, because if you look at speech expert, if you want to have a speech that is pleasant to people,
effective,
no, just pleasant, because there's something called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I've done so many certifications when it comes to NLP, because it allowed me as a sales guy to connect with the people I was trying to sell to. Like, it allowed me to build relationship with my clients, because I was never the most technical guy, but I was always the one that had the strongest relationships with my customers. My customers liked me because I took the time to care. I actually cared about my customers.
Well, so much of business is personal relationships, right?
But if you look at Obama, two of the best orators as president, look at Obama, look at Clinton, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Great. As much as I dislike both of them as orators, they're great. But what they're doing is that they're not using filler words. Instead of using they don't have those. And I've been working at
I got to work on myself on that. I know that.
And when I started working on this, especially when I started doing a lot of presentation at work that were recorded, I used to re-listen to it, and I'm like, bro, you need to stop.
You don't even notice it, until you start to re-listen to yourself. Yeah.
So this is something, I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I can tell you as somebody.
You could have had a speech coach or something like that. That would make sense.
I know that is something I'm consciously doing every time I speak, not just on camera, in real life too. I will take pauses instead of while I'm thinking of my next sentence or how to say it properly. It's just more pleasant. It's just more pleasant. But you can go even further. You can go even further. That's something I didn't think we'd talk about this, but I really, really like.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Speech patterns. Yep. But if you really want, if you listen to a politician when they're trying to convince you of something, and I do it all the time, they will slow down their speech to about 70% of regular speech, just like I'm doing right now. You need to listen to me.
I'm buying what you're selling,
because what I'm telling you is the truth.
Yeah.
It's hypnotic. You're basically using a monotone way of speaking that is slowed down, like you're trying to hypnotize someone. Look at it.
That's super interesting. That's really
look at the people that try to hypnotize others. They never speak like this. They're never, okay, right now you're going to relax.
That keeps that. And it's funny because you don't notice these things in your own speech until I only noticed them once we started doing the show, and I started rewatching them. Like, at first I'm like watching myself like this. and it's like super cringy, but you do have to, like, I know what you mean. You consciously think of it, and I assume at some point you get to a point where you don't need to think of it quite as much. You probably just becomes part of your regular speech pattern. But
obviously doing what we do, and if you edit the content, you don't have a choice to listen to yourself, so you notice
and
it.
that's exactly,
and it's so irritating. It is so irritating.
It is. I'm not the kind of person that likes to watch myself, but it is good because
I don't think anybody mentally healthy enjoys
You're
seeing
right.
themselves talk, right?
If you love to look at yourself talk, I feel like there's probably something. Yeah, it's sitting there.
I bet Trump likes it.
Oh, you know he does. You know he does. Of course he does.
You know, it's like the guy masturbating to his own image.
Oh yeah. Well, that's Trump's sort of pathology. He's got, like, if you actually, a lot of libs on people on the left are like, oh my God, Trump, he's so unpredictable. He's so this and that. If you actually understand Trump's psychology, he's actually incredibly predictable, and he's even workable. Like, I don't know if you could manipulate him straight out, and if he feels you're trying to manipulate him, you definitely can. But if you massage that ego in just the right way, and you sort of give him the win that he wants and whatnot, I think Putin's done that very well. I think a lot of people think, oh, he's Putin's puppet. And I don't think he's Putin's puppet. I just think Putin's a very smart guy, and he understands how to work someone like Trump's personality.
Just look at the debate Trump had with Kamala Harris. As dumb as Kamala Harris sounds when she speaks, she was able to manipulate Trump into overreacting. Which, this is why I was so impressed by JD Vance, because when he debated Tim Walz used the same traps as Kamala Harris did with Trump. JD Vance just like let him go. Just go, look stupid. Here's all the rope that you need. And at one point, instead of making a point, he just looked at the camera and went like, help.
And a meme was born.
But that's why I'm so impressed by JD Vance, because he doesn't get I was going to say aroused. That's probably
flustered,
not the right.
Or like overreacted. Yeah, I know what you mean though. But you mean like literally the actual definition of the word aroused, not like sexual arousal. But
no,
yes.
Exactly. The thing is that that's something I tried to speak to the men that I've coached in the past to say, if people are capable of making you react just with their words, you're easily manipulable. Like you're easy to control. If all I need to do in real life is say your mother's a whore, and you lose your shit, you put your hands on me and I get to knock you out because at this point it's self-defense, you're easy to manipulate. That's on you. You should be better than letting people control you. You know the expression, don't let people live in your head rent free. So let's take some you want to take some comments so we can go.
Prairie says Carney allegedly on the Epstein list. At this point, he almost has
did you see the pictures? He was with what's her name? Maxwell, I think is her name.
Ghislaine. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but
whatever.
She's basically his fixer,
partner, partner / assistant / whatever,
recruiter. No, but it could be used. So this is to what I was saying. I was asking if they show up on the list, are they necessarily a kid diddler? Prairie says no, but it could be used to blackmail someone that did go to the island, which is a good point. And so that's relevant if we're talking a politician. Prairie says exactly. Ask a good cop how many bad cops is arrested. The answer would probably be 0. There is that thin blue line. That is the thing.
But I don't want to. I did not say that in order to insult the police officers out there, because man, you guys do one of the hardest jobs, and I would not want to do your job. But you guys have to admit that there is hypocrisy in the way you get to be treated. I couldn't be treated that way if I knew Rob committed a crime and it was exposed that I knew. I would be in trouble. I would be accessory, but they're not. And politicians are not either, which that's problematic.
Yep, that's right. Rules for thee, but not for me, kind of thing. Jason, I have zero problem with people associated with Epstein before his first conviction. The guy was everywhere. We get it. But Bill Gates, who hung out with him after his first, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You might be able to give people some benefit of the doubt. I don't think Epstein probably did not introduce himself to every single famous person that said, "Hi,
I'm a diddler."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm Epstein. I'm a diddler. I don't think that's how it goes.
That's his business card. Hello,
professional diddler.
But at the same time, did you see there was reports that Kanye recorded a song with one of his kids with the diddler while he's still in prison? People were talking about this I couldn't remember because I know him as Puff Daddy from the Notorious B.I.G. Peep Diddy, that's how he calls him. So this does not look bad. This looks bad. If you're hanging out with the diddler now,
I feel like Kanye West does not give two shits about like he's gone.
Maybe he likes to be diddled. Maybe he likes to be diddled. You know what? Maybe just like Jason is my diddler, maybe Diddy is, or vice versa.
Kanye
Diddy's
West
his, or the vice versa. Yeah, Kanye West gets diddled by the diddler. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Jason, have you seen Hunter Biden's paintings? It looks like crayons by an ungifted child. Correct. And then when you see that, I mean, these are going for what, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't take
I've never seen it.
You don't need a conspiracy theorist to know what's going on here. It's just money laundering. It's corruption. Tony, going back to the way you're speaking. True enough, Nico. Pause 10 seconds and think before speaking. Good advice. And we get some more advice down here from.
And you see it with Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk does it all the time. If you look at when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he does that a lot. Like before he answers a question, he's just there. I don't think it's like me where I'm looking for the best word to use. I think in his head, he's like, how can I explain this very complicated concept to you fucking idiots? That's what I'm thinking. How can I put it into words that you commoners are gonna understand?
Jason says, want better voice and speech? Speak with Distinction is a book. A great way to start. I actually might go check that book out because, I mean, obviously, this is a thing that we do now. We do 2 hours a day. So for me, I can, another one. Just Listen.
No, but this is Just Listen. This is the best book you'll ever read on this. It's
same topic.
And as you can tell, it's there's a lot of notes that I've taken here. Yeah, that's cool. I'm just looking for the name of the guy because I lost the cover. Just Listen by Mark Goulston. He is a psychiatrist that specializes in helping FBI agents that are responsible for negotiating with hostage takers. So that's cool. Shows you how to manipulate your speech. And manipulate, I'm not saying the thing is NLP is extremely manipulative if you use it for the wrong reason. You can fuck with people's head, but the way I used it is I used it to what we call establish rapport. Because if you at the end of the day, people want to be mirrored. The people that you like is because you see yourself in them. NLP teaches you how to do it on purpose. Like I used to do this in customer meetings. Nobody would realize that, but let's say I'm talking to a customer and I think I have his attention. I will do something as in lean forward in my chair. And more often than not, if he's connected, if we're on the same page, he will copy me. He will lean forward as well.
That's kind of cool.
Cross my legs. Cross your fingers. It's fucked up, but when you understand that, it's very interesting that you can manipulate people. I just did it in a way to know that, you know what, I'm reaching to, like, he's understanding where I'm at. I'm on the same page, because if you're speaking to someone, duplicate their speech. If they speak fast, speak fast. Yep. If they speak normally, just speak normally. If they speak slow, speak slow. It's like when I talk to you, I don't know if you notice, but I normally go like this. Because but you know what I'm saying, right? I know. You just duplicate what the other person is.
That's interesting. That's really cool. I'm going to check that out for sure. Jason, all Harris had to say was my crowd size was bigger, and from there she sat back and let Trump erupt the rest of the debate. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not at all unpredictable if you understand his psychology. And I would say that's probably one of Trump's bigger weaknesses. I don't think Vance has that same weakness, kind of to use the example, but I actually think Vance is a lot more secure in his intellect than Trump is. I think there's a lot, actually, for all Trump's bluster, I think there's a lot of insecurity at the heart of that. That's my sort of read on him.
Wasn't it Hillary Clinton that was saying that he had small hands and that would piss him off to no end?
Oh, he just furious. He lost it. But yeah, that's Trump. He's got insecurities, and like, fuck, he's been the president of the United States twice now, and it just shows you, like, once that shit gets baked into you at a certain age, it never goes away. It never goes away. Yeah. Nope. And final one here, Tony, another classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you want to do
by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, that is a classic. I haven't read it, but yeah, I mean, now that, like, we're doing this regularly, I suppose it's probably worth my while to pick up a book on at least the what you were talking about, the speaking. Oh, there you got it. Have you read it?
Yeah. The next one is this.
Same guy?
Nope. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I've never read this, but he basically tells you how to, I don't want to say manipulate people, but how to be able to have presence. Because that's another thing, one of the reasons I'm a bigger guy, right? I'm 6'1", 230-ish. I stand straight. I'm muscular. I command attention. Like, if I walk into a room, people notice me because just of the way, it's not just the size, but I walk straight. I look in front of me. My shoulders are not curved, and I'm not staring at the ground.
Body language.
I stand straight, but that's my point. All of those books, like, you need to read a bunch of those books to understand this. But this is how you present in a more appealing way or a more dominating way. And this is what this book's about. I haven't read it yet, but those are all useful skills, especially if you're in, like, sales or something like you were in. That is absolutely things you need to learn, and a lot of it stuff is not. Yeah, even what we're doing here, a lot of this stuff is not. That's why my skills translated super well. My skills translated from being in sales to doing this, because now I just do it in front of a camera instead of doing it in front of people.
Same thing,
in front of me, right? Oh, yeah,
and a lot of the stuff is not necessarily intuitive. A lot of it's just things you're gonna, like, read in a book, and then you can pick up these things. But finally, guys, we're talking about voice, speech, and practicum. Speak with distinction is king. All right, I think on that end, I think we've talked out the speech therapy part of the show. It is. I really like. I like how this show goes wherever it's gonna go.
Sorry,
but let's. Oh yes, Marco Rubio said he had small hands, and Trump said, "I promise you, there's no problems down there." Like, okay.
No, but you know what? One of the requirements for the women that I dated is that they have small hands, because everything looks bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
Just saying.
I like that. Yeah.
Hey, Mom.
Looks huge. It looks huge in their little hands. Yeah. Hopefully, Mom.
Damn!
Yeah. Hopefully,
almost black.
All right. What do we got next?
Do you like that I changed the bottom? I actually changed the title as we were talking. I made another one as we were talking.
I like that.
I'll try to do that. It's just they're all custom made, right? So I have to keep on doing them and changing them. But
this is. You just do it on the fly?
Yeah, creating the template took forever, this, because I had to because there's no templates. I had to manually do it and align to make sure that the bottom, because the template is not part of this software, but the like the summary at the bottom, the banner that's going left to right, this is part of the software. So I had to time it all, but changing the title, I don't know, it's just a template. I just change the title, I download it, and I upload it. It's not complicated.
Okay,
I'll try to do that. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is absolutely idiotic, if you ask me, is Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister of Canada, yesterday tried to defend the carbon tax. And I have a few videos on this. And
yeah, I want to see this, because as we, like, in the news, the headlines, the news is Mark Carney get rid of the carbon tax, right? That's what people are talking about. That's what people are saying. But it sounds like it's not necessarily that, right? So as we
it is not.
Yeah, he got rid of the consumer tax, but kept the corporate carbon tax.
But it goes even further. I'm gonna let him speak because I got a video of this from yesterday.
Yep.
But I also, for the people out there, Jason, I think he likes when I put my conspiracy hat on,
The tinfoil hat
because
on.
this is the thing. Like the first part are all real videos
Okay.
that he's put out there, but I do have, we've been digging into a lot about the fact that he's literally, it's becoming clearer and clearer that he's trying to put universal basic income in place. Like it seems to be pointing that way.
Well, that is the
Okay, you know what? Let me
conspiracy
rephrase
theory
this.
on this show.
It seems to become more and more feasible that that's what he's doing. Like it seems, it's easy to see that that's where it's going. And I believe that his carbon tax scheme is also connected to something else that is scary as shit that's been going on, that is talked about in the UK right now. It is fucking scary, but the fact that he visited the UK and France instead of going to the US kind of makes this more plausible. But let's start with the video that he released yesterday, and we'll take it from there.
All right.
Canada today, your political opponent, Mr. Poilievre, said that he would axe the industrial price on carbon. And I'd like to understand from you if you think that at this time, with all the threats against many of our big mainstay industries, which also are large emitters, if you think that your plan to tax them remains a viable and publicly supported plan.
Yeah. So our plan, and in fact the regime that's in place in Canada, and a variant of this regime is in place. There are some variances, Tonda, between the provinces, but a variant of this linked to California is in place with Quebec and British Columbia, is to have a form of price for the largest, on carbon, for the largest emitters, said differently, the largest polluters. Now, what we are doing is changing that system or improving that system so that the price that's paid can be reduced by so-called carbon credits that are allocated.
Remember what he just said. Remember carbon credits. Remember that for afterwards.
We will be adding additional ones that ensure that the polluters are paying so that Canadians can receive support to reduce their own emissions.
Remember that too. Now he went from carbon credits which already exist in Canada that are given to industry. They cannot produce more CO2 or green gas emission unless they have those credits that they can go above, right? Now he's starting to link consumers and Canadians. So this is where it becomes extremely dangerous. So he literally said to help Canadians make better choices. I'm just going to rewind it a bit.
So that Canadians can receive support to reduce their own emissions. So it's a more efficient system. It works better for the large polluters. It works better for Canadians. And it also is a system that recognizes the new trading reality. So we have to be able to connect the dots, something that the opposition is totally
Yeah, I saw what he's going. I saw this yesterday, and his basic premise is that, I mean, we'll let him talk here, but he's saying we need to have a carbon tax in order to trade with Europe and Asia.
Hold on, let him say it. We'll talk about it afterwards. So you saw this. It's the exact same video we're talking about.
Okay.
Capable of doing, proven themselves totally incapable of doing. So on the one hand, we have our largest trading partner, as we've been discussing, attacking us, putting tariffs on us. On the other hand, we have the opportunity to diversify trade. Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the European Union? Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the United Kingdom? Guess what one of the requirements will be to diversify trade to emerging Asia? Is to have a form of price on carbon. So we are able to think one step ahead. We're able to go out and see the world. We're able to help Canadian companies prepare. And you know what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years from now? if I have the pleasure of being in front of you, you'll be asking me the question, if we didn't do this, if we didn't help our companies get more prepared, the Americans are going to start caring about this again. They have elections every 4 years. They cared a great deal about this 3 months ago. Now all of a sudden they don't care about it. They're going to care about it again.
What is he talking
So-
about? There? Care about what?
Basically what he's referring to is the Paris Accord, which is absolutely wrong. What he's saying at the end is complete lies. Trump took the US out of the Paris Accord in 2017. They haven't been there forever. Now, there's a few things that I want you guys to remember that what he said. He talked about credits. He brought Canadians to the equation, as in, bro, you just axed the tax. Why are we relevant to this equation? Then he started to say that in order to trade with the European Union and emerging Asia, we need to have a price on carbon. That's another thing that I don't know, but you know what? I posted about this morning, and my post is going viral right now because I took the time to research what he just said. I just didn't take his video and say, "Oh, you're so full of it. You have no idea what you're." No. Let me put this into perspective.
Yep.
Canada emits 1.4% of green gas in the world. 1.4%.
So just right away, any change that we make is irrelevant.
Those are the numbers that leftists use, because technically we are carbon zero, because we have so much forest that chances are we're in the negative. We have so much trees, and if you remember your school, CO2 is food for trees. They take CO2 and they turned it into oxygen, which, unlike popular belief, we needed to breathe. Just putting it out there. But technically, our carbon footprint is less than zero. If 1.4% is what the leftists will tell you that we emit every year. He referred to the Asian emerging market. China alone is responsible for 30.1% of the world's green gas emission. And believe me, hey, for the people out there, I'm using those terms as in if you believe in climate change, which I don't believe that humans are responsible for climate change. Is there climate change? Yes, because the earth will change its climate. But are we the one impacting it? No. But let's say that you do believe in it. That's fine. The numbers I'm using is for the people out there that believe in climate change, okay? So 30.1%. But if you put all the emerging markets that he's talking about in Asia, do you know what the number is? It's 60%. They are responsible for 60% of the green gas emissions in the world. But where it gets very fucking interesting is here. The US, which has zero, they literally removed it at the federal level. As he mentioned in the video, there's places like California that still has a statewide emission cap that they need to deal with. But on the federal level, it was axed. It's removed. You know how much they're responsible for the world? 11.3%. So just China produces 3 times more green gas emission than the US did. And this is where the hypocrisy is, because they're basically telling us that in order to diversify our export, we need to have a carbon tax. We need to have a price on carbon to deal with China. You know, China that just put 100% tariffs on our imports. People don't talk about this, but China put 100% tariffs on our exports that they bring into China. So those people that are responsible for more than 30% of the world's emission, we need to tax our citizen and have them pay more for whatever the fuck they need from goods and services in order to do business with them, while our biggest trade ally that's in just connected to us, just to the south of us, is responsible with 11.3% of the world emission with no caps. They're like, you know what? We're out of the Paris Accord. But does it sound fucking hypocritical to you?
It's ridiculous. the idea that China is going to say, whoa, Canada, you need to put a price on carbon before we trade with you. China does not give two shits about what Canada does with the price of carbon. No, now, could do I believe that the European Union and did you, I don't know if you found this in your research, might they have some sort of restriction? Yeah, I could buy that. But the idea
for 6.1% is the amount of emission that the whole European Union has.
Do they have, if you remember, do they have any rules?
Places like Italy don't.
No. Okay.
It's all pandering. This is all pandering to the masses in order to try to sell something. This falls in line with the same thing as he's doing with the tariffs in the US. So he's basically, you remember the video where we're talking about where the news anchor and one of the old employee of Trudeau that was saying that the way that Carney is handling this, the way for him to go to Europe is the best way for him to negotiate with Trump. It makes no fucking sense.
It's stupid.
But this is the same thing we're seeing here. We're seeing like idiots.
Yeah,
they're
like idiots.
They're literally taking us for a bunch of morons, and we're like,
guys, we need to have a carbon tax because China, we can't trade with China if we don't have a carbon. Like, shut the fuck up. Nobody buys
it. Wouldn't be a problem. So why trade with China when we have the people that buy 75% of our exports right now don't give a fuck about climate change. They don't give a fuck about emissions, and they want to buy our shit as long as we go sit at the table and figure it out. Why? Should we diversify? Of course we should. Should we become more self-reliant? Absolutely. But in the short to medium term, it makes no sense. We're not going to be able to do it. It takes decades to build the infrastructure that we need in order to get there. So right now, stop selling us the bullshit that we need to be part of Europe and deal with China when we have an ally that's right next to us that is right there, and they don't care. It's all bullshit. They're taking us for idiots.
You're not gonna. What I really don't like, and before I get to my point here, I just wanted to bring this up. Carnage had a great point. Carney helped shape the carbon laws in the UK and the EO, and then he comes to Canada and says we're beholden to that. So that's a little.
No. I'll be even more precise. I know what Carnage. I came ready. Our prime minister right now. So Mark Carney, our new prime minister, is the former UN special envoy for climate action and finance. That was his term. That was his deal on top of he used to sit on the board of the WEF. He used to be involved in the UK digital banking system, as well as being part of Brexit. This is the dude that we have now as prime minister. There's no fucking wonder why he's pandering to the people in Europe. There's no questions here. We know why he went to Europe and not to the US, because Trump would probably laugh him out of his office, and he's going to serve his masters that are Europe.
Well, what I really don't like is this idea. It seems like he's like, well, we can't trade with the US because don't give up on the fucking US. We still sell 80% of our goods to that country. Like, it's like, again, it's like we were talking about yesterday. It's almost like he doesn't actually want to get rid of the tariffs. And, we might have some theories on why that is. But the fact of the matter is you still need to be going down there and doing every fucking thing you can in order to get rid of the tariffs. And if you can't, whatever, but you still need to try. Right now, he's just saying like, well, can't do anything about America. Let's slap a price on carbon because we need that to trade with China. All of that is just nonsense. It's utter nonsense.
But it's even worse than that. China has put 100% tariffs on our exports.
Yeah.
100%.
Meanwhile,
and we want to go deal with
25. America only put 25%, and we're like, yeah, okay, nothing we can do there. Let's trade with China, who's just 100 fucking.
Our prime minister wants to add an extra cost to what we have to pay in order to deal with a country that put 100% tariffs on our products. Like, how ridiculous does this sound? It is insane. Crazy. It literally feels like, again, I'm in a Black Mirror episode and I'm the crazy person saying, hey, Jesus is coming back. And everybody's laughing at me. This is how I feel. Like, am I? But, I also found a number.
For sure.
You know how much it costs us? The average Canadian right now, it depends on the province. Some provinces are more expensive, some are less. But the current carbon tax costs the average Canadian $627 a year.
That's a lot of money.
And it was supposed to go up on April 1st. I don't know if it's still going to go up. Everybody seems to be avoiding the question. But imagine another 25%, that's $600. You're talking another $150. So you're talking about $800 a year.
Mm-hmm.
For something, and $800 a year, considering that 23% of Canadians are living in it was 23% of Canadians are struggling to afford daily necessities, and you're still taxing them between at least $627 a year to send it back to another country. Like we're going to get involved in Ukraine again. Like this is this is a thing, when you start to put it all together, it's very hard not to be a conspiracy theorist. It's very, very hard. But hey, Jason, woo! I got my hat on. I found this video because one of the things to remember is I don't know if you noticed, but Carney spoke about replacing the existing system and how it would be better for Canadians. Those are the words that he used in the videos in the video that I just showed you. And by the way, if you guys don't know, the Epoch Times, the news outlet out of Canada, brilliant. If you want to have news that is more in the middle, that's pretty bang on, I use them all the time. They're absolutely incredible. But there is a video from guys that I know from the Blender Report. They're two guys from Canada. This one is just one of the guys, is Jonathan Harvey. I've showed a few of his videos before. Big fan of what he does. I have it on my show. Great dude. But he posted this video about 12 weeks ago, about almost 3 months ago. And just the verbiage, remember the verbiage. And I invite you guys to go back. Just go to Juno News. You found it on Rebel News. Go see the speech that we just showed, just to re-listen to it and identify the words that I'm talking about. But just the fact that he brought in Canadians saying that he needs to change the current system, that it would be better for all of us. And he talked about credits. Tell me that this video that was released 3 months ago does not sound very fucking familiar. Oops. Hold on. Where's that video? Right here.
Recently completed a carbon credit system trial that sets a daily allowance for each person, a literal cap on your ability to travel, purchase food, clothing, and even heat your home, all rationed under the guise of saving the planet. Your daily carbon limit is capped at 40 kilograms of CO2, with food restricted to just 4 kilograms. So how does this translate to actual food? Well, according to the report, a packet of cheese accounts for 1.1 kilograms of CO2, over 25% of your daily allowance. Red meat? Forget it. If you spent your entire 4 kg allowance on steak, you'd get around 8 ounces of meat. While meat and dairy products have the highest carbon footprints, 2 slices of bread would account for just 3%, while a can of Coke just 4%. So basically, diabetes is on the menu. But don't worry, Big Pharma will have you covered, because medications and healthcare products will not be factored into your daily carbon limit. But here's where things get terrifying. They're not just suggesting it, they're testing it. Food manufacturers are already slapping carbon labels on their products. And let's not forget the food supply chain either. These policies directly threaten local farmers and producers, as red meat gets penalized heavily, while synthetic lab-grown meat is being propped up as a solution. The fashion industry contributes approximately 10% of global carbon emissions, with much of the impact coming from production and transportation, which is now your problem. A single cotton t-shirt will cost you 2.1 kilograms of CO2. Synthetics will cost you much more, and if you like leather, just buy it now. But you can save those carbon credits by purchasing used clothes. So, how about travel? The average person burns through 2.3 kg per day going about their daily lives. However, if you ever see yourself going on vacation again, you're going to want to start biking or walking to work, because a typical round trip via airplane from London to New York emits approximately 1,600 kilograms of CO2 per person, equating to 80 days of your total carbon allowance under the PCA guidelines. Heating accounts for a significant share of household emissions, especially in colder climates, with the average household burning through 6 kg of CO2 per day. The recommended solution? Be cold. or fork over a bunch of money to install renewable energy sources in your home. There's also an allowance for leisure and entertainment. Streaming services, gaming, or internet usage at home or on your phone relies on data centers powered by electricity. So, that will cost you. Going to a concert or a ball game? Well, that involves travel, lighting, and heating or cooling. Boom, pay the toll. You like gardening, DIY projects, or recreational sports? Those all involve resource consumption, and there's no free lunch in the credit carbon world. Now, you might be thinking, surely this is just a trial. Wrong. This isn't just being tested, it's being planned. In the UK white paper, they openly admit that their goal is to encourage behavior towards implementing this system. They're normalizing the idea that your lifestyle is subject to bureaucratic quotas handed down by governments that live in luxury while telling you to eat less meat. Surprisingly, here's where it gets dystopian. The system isn't about reducing emissions where it matters. The report itself acknowledges that 70% of carbon emissions come from sectors beyond individual control, including industry, exports, and military operations. But instead of tackling those, they're coming after you. You see, this isn't about reducing carbon, it's about reducing you, restricting how far you can travel, what you can eat, and ultimately, how much freedom you can enjoy. And once the system is linked to digital IDs and centralized banking, the consequences of exceeding your carbon limits are severe. Overspend on travel or food this month, you can be locked out of making non-essential purchases. And if you think that's far-fetched, China's social credit system operates on the same principles: track, regulate, and punish. And this trial isn't happening in a vacuum. Similar proposals are being floated globally. The EU's Fit for 55 program is pushing personal carbon tracking. The World Economic Forum published reports in 2022 advocating for individual carbon quotas tied to digital IDs. Even the Canadian Climate Accountability Act includes language that promotes integrating personalized carbon targets. As for the typical political hypocrisy, the same elites pushing this nonsense aren't giving up their private jets or lavish lifestyles. In 2022 alone, 1,040 private jets landed in Davos for the WEF summit, just so billionaires could lecture the rest of us about cutting emissions and personal carbon tracking. So here's the truth. Personal carbon allowances won't stop climate change. They will, however, stop you from living freely. They'll hollow out the middle class, decimate local agriculture, and concentrate power in the hands of the global elite. They're testing this in the UK, but trust me, it's headed here too. And many of us know that this is the cornerstone of left-wing politics. Whether we're talking carbon tax, green slush funds, mandating electric vehicles, or net zero, it is their hill to die on. And as far as I can see, it has very little to do with the climate and everything to do with control.
Keep in mind, this video was released at least 2 to 3 months ago.
Okay.
And now we have a prime minister that sat on the board of the WEF. We have a prime minister that is the former UN special envoy to climate action and finance. We have a prime minister that just said on camera yesterday that we need to have a carbon price to do business with emerging Asia that produces 60% of carbon in the world.
I don't even
While we produce 1.4% of them, we have a prime minister that thought it was more important to go see the UK minister, King Charles, and Macron out of the French, the French president. So it was more, keep that in mind, it was more important to go deal with Europe than to deal with our biggest ally in the US that is against the Paris Accord, that is against that agenda of imposing carbon, that putting a carbon price on their goods and services. And now you start to understand, like, if you're looking at this as a whole, step back for a second and just say, okay, why is he going at war? Why is he inventing a tariff war that he doesn't want to deal with? Why is he pushing us to diversify and deal with Europe? Why is he already talking about a carbon price when he just cut the consumer portion of it? He's already prepping us to be ready for this. He wants to do more business with the UK that just fucking tested what Jonathan Harvey was talking about right now. This is not a conspiracy theory. And he wants us to deal with China that has a credit system that's been established for years. I should show you the video. There was a video that was made years ago by a mainstream media before it was a big deal. It is fucking scary, bro. So he wants us to deal with those people.
Social credit score?
social credit score. So basically, everything is online. All your cards, all your identity
it's
is owned
scary
by the
shit.
government. You cross the street, you do
You cross
jaywalking.
if you jaywalk,
yeah,
they
and
will.
then they
They'll
encourage
ding
your
you.
neighbors, your kids to snitch if you do something they don't like journalists, like guys like you and I
Yep.
couldn't take the public transport anymore. We
Yep.
would be shamed in
They
public.
won't.
Like
You can't
they
take
were
flight.
they were talking about a journalist that talked about the government, about the communist government in China.
He was critical. I think I saw that he was critical of the government, right?
He was
And then
he couldn't take the
found out
bus
he can't
anymore. He
open a
couldn't
bank
take
account or something.
No, and not only that, but if he goes into public, so if he's in public, there's screens all over the place that will tell you in the area of that screen, because obviously you have your phone, so it can track you.
Undesirable.
So it would say all those people are the best people around here because they have the highest credit score, and those guys should be shamed at the bottom. It's insane.
That
so
is super.
that
is dystopian. That's scary shit.
But bro, this is the type. So our prime minister, who served as the climate action ambassador for the UN, that sat on the WEF board, that wants us to deal with the UK that just tested this, that wants us to do more business with China, the country that put 100% tariffs on our good while complaining that the US did 25%. They want us to deal with those people that are all pushing this shit instead of dealing with a country that refuses to do it. Tell me this does not sound wrong. When you start putting it all together, you're like, God damn.
So, I mean, I'm still
going to make a great clip, huh? We need to make a video about this, but
it's
insane. It's insane.
In my mind, it's still within the realm of conspiracy, but there's some legs there. Like that is something that we on this show should be like, we should track that exact thing. Because in my mind, there's no proof yet, but it's a plausible scenario. And
it doesn't look good.
So far, Carney's behaviors and the things he's doing are exactly the things that he would be doing if this was his plan. And the things that he should be doing if his plan is to, get rid of tariffs, which is what we all want him to do, he's not doing those things. So, I mean, just for lack of a term, we'll call it conspiracy theory. But I mean, to me, there's some legs there. There's some there. And I think on this show,
there's some there. There's some there.
Yeah, there's there. And I think that me and you should stay on this. We should.
I'll always continue talking about this because I talk about this on my social media every day. This is always what I talk about. I got to be careful here, guys. Like, there are boundaries that I can't cross, or else we're going to get in trouble on YouTube, especially. So I'm trying, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to bring those things up because I'm always looking for.
Well, what you talked about, those are all facts that we know, right?
100%. Yep.
The China does have a social credit system, and that is what they're doing. Then you've got this other stuff with
the UK with their carbon credit for the people. This is all the information is out there, and you can go even further and say, if you look at what they call 15-minute cities, all those steps that Jonathan Harvey talked about, that China has put in place, that the UK is putting in place, are all steps required in order to put in place a 15-minute city. And for those that don't understand what a 15-minute city is literally a plan that's been in the works for decades. Even Gavin Newsom talked about it when LA was still fucking burning. Literally, Los Angeles is burning behind him, and he's excited to rebuild LA 2.0. And the smart cities, it's a smart city. LA 2.0 is the name of the project, which basically would make sure that everything was available to the citizens of that city within 15 minutes. So no need for cars, no need for any type of transport that belongs to you. Everything's owned by the government, and you need to use it on the way that they say you should use it. It's just when you start, I'm a generalist, right? I'm not a specialist of anything. I do research on everything that's out there. But when you start putting them together and you look at the actions of leaders like Mark Carney, you're like, this, as you said earlier, and I like the way you said it, if the end goal was this,
Yeah, what would he be
that
doing?
hard? And everything that he's doing right now are the steps needed in order to get there. Is that what he's doing? I'll let you pick. In my opinion, abso-fucking-lutely. He's not an idiot. If you start from the premise that Mark Carney is a very smart guy, that he knows all the right people in order to make that happen, and he's pushing us to do more business with those people, man, if the goal is this, if the goal is to put in place a 15-minute city that she cannot leave, the carbon tax on people or your carbon allowance would be the perfect step in order to get there. The UBI that he's pushing would be the perfect way to go there, because we're going to live in government funded apartment buildings where we can't go anywhere because we don't have enough carbon allowance to go anywhere. Bill Gates talks about the fact that he wants us to eat bugs and eat prefabricated meat like lab meat instead of eating real meat. When you start looking at all the world players that are pushing their crap, they're all pushing this crap from a WEF, for like the World Economic Forum's perspective, and they're all part of it. Again, this is not a conspiracy theory. The information is out there. It doesn't fucking look good, and if that's the plan, they seem to be headed in that direction. The steps that they're taking right now are fucking scary.
Well, it's definitely something we got to keep an eye on. I think, I think if they go down the road, I really think that there's gonna be a shit ton of resistance to it. Yeah, no, I do. I don't think.
No.
I think COVID kind of woke a lot of people up to this kind of stuff. That maybe.
No.
I mean, I do.
Wrong.
I think
wrong.
wrong. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if we see it, obviously, if we're going to be tracking it. So if we see it, if we see stuff like that going down, we're going to be on top of it.
But the thing is, Rob, one thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off. The trick is, and why people will not fight this, is because the agenda is 2050. You've heard of Agenda 2050, the WEF Agenda 2050. This has been in the works for at least 40 years, 50 years. They play the long game. On the podcast I recorded yesterday, I was explaining that on the show. We have a mentality of instant gratification. Everything that we do is short term. Like, that's what we've become as human beings, especially in North America. But if you look at those people that put those policies together, they work at this for decades and decades and decades. That's why it's important to go look at the past of Mark Carney and realize that he's been working on those agendas for a very long time. Like, this is years and decades in the making, and we're not going to wake up tomorrow in a smart city. We're not. But it's going to take another 20 years, 25 years to get there. And, information is lost within a generation. If your kids, for example, are born in a smart city, they'll never know anything else. They'll never know what it was to live
no doubt,
wherever the fuck you wanted before. And this is the problem. So we can stop talking about this, because I'm telling you, if I continue, we're going to be in trouble again. Or no, we're going to be in trouble. I'll be in trouble again. That's just kind of what I do. But
yeah,
I don't want to I want to continue making this show, try to inform people so they can do their own research. But
that's all we're trying to do.
We're
obviously going to stay on top of this issue. All we're trying to do is just kind of get people to get kind of thinking about it. I mean, and me and you, we don't necessarily agree. I think that's on every single point of this. However, it's a compelling case, and it to me, it's clearly worth tracking as we go. And
that's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. You can don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me, but I hope that what I'm talking about can just compel you to go do some research. And I'm sorry, it's going to be a rabbit hole. I've been down that rabbit hole for 25 years, maybe more. It sucks, but
we've got a ton of
do your own research. Yeah, go for it.
I won't be able to take all of them, but Perry says that was excellent. People better wake the fuck up and fast. Tony says, I'm building a flux capacitor and heading back to the Precambrian. Yes. I agree.
Damn, I
Carnage
actually
says Nico is
understand that
100.
joke. You just showed your
Yeah,
age, bro. You
yeah,
just
yeah.
showed your age. Back to the Future.
That's right. Nico is 100% correct, says Carnage. Prairie, Prairie says, heard Carney invited
Don't
Zelensky
steal
to be.
my thunder. That's the next subject we're talking about.
Oh,
Don't
yes.
steal my
Yeah,
thunder.
we're heading there, Prairie.
Yup.
Carnage, notice how Doug Ford got quiet since the fake carbon tax removal happened. He's not even screaming at Trump anymore. Yeah, he is. He is. He has been quiet. Prairie, Agenda 2050 is 15-minute cities. So,
Yup.
Tony, just imagine how desperate pensioners will be. Yeah, I mean that's right.
What
Prairie says there's lots of
pensioners?
pushback on this in Manitoba. Some municipalities are listening and scrapping it. Most aren't, as they want those funds from the Fed. Yeah, I mean it's really interesting. I mean to I guess the best thing we can do is just kind of keep raising awareness, get people to think.
But one thing is that's worth noting about what she's talking about, and I speak about this in my other podcasts all the time. If you want to change the world, change your community. The world at the end of the day is just a bunch of communities
Yeah,
put
that's right.
together. So if you really want to have an impact at what's going on in your life, think about your city, your municipality, your what is it called in the US? Damn, I'm drawing a blank. Your county.
County. Yep.
Think about joining. You don't like what's going on in your city? Run for mayor. Try to be part of the school board. Exactly. Try to be involved with all the politics that's local. Find other people that believe the same thing as you. They're ready to make a change. They're appalled by what's going on and they want to change.
Yeah.
This is the way you're going to do it. Of course there is, but they just need an organizer. They just need a good leader to show up and say, this is what we believe in. This is what these are the steps that we're going to make, that we're going to have to take in order to get to our goal. Let's fucking do it. And I love to hear that people in Manitoba are organizing on the municipal level and resisting what the government is doing. I don't know if you remember that. If I would have known, I would have brought the video, but there was a video somewhere in the US in a small town. I cannot remember where it was, but the people living there were not okay with the mayor's office and everything that they were doing. You know what they did? They said, fuck you. They kicked them out and they ran another election and they replaced them all. They were and that was like last year. They were just not happy with the policies they were pushing because there was a China-owned industry that was trying to buy some land in that small town and build a massive building that would be producing goods. They said the city wanted it because the citizens were saying that they were bought by that company. They wanted to build that manufacturer there. They're like, nope, not happening. They kicked the people out and they reran an election. They kind of literally removed their own local government and said, screw you. We're not happy with this. No, but this is the power that we have as a people.
Oh yeah, like local politics. That's where you make change.
Many versus a few. Guess who wins?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
You taking more comments, or are we done?
No, that's it. There's some, just a lot of them just sort of agreeing with each other and stuff.
Cool.
But those are the good ones. You want to segue into that next topic?
I just want to show you, since we're on Carney, this video, I'm just gonna let it play just to show you the type of person that Carney is. Okay. This is the video I was talking about, the way he speaks to journalists, women in this case. But check this out and tell me that sounds like a great man.
Canada today, your political opponent, Mr. Poilievre, said that he would axe the industrial price on carbon. And I'd like to
hold on. No, I apologize. This is the same one I played earlier. This is not the right one because I had two. This is... Oh, no, I think actually today, they start the same way.
Opponent, Mr. Poilievre, said that he would axe the industrial price on carbon. And I'd like to understand from you if you think that at this time, with all the threats against many of our big mainstay industries, which also are large emitters, if you think that your plan to tax them remains a viable and publicly supported plan.
Yeah. So our plan, and in fact the regime that's in place in Canada, and
I think this
variant
is
of this regime.
It is. I see. That's another thing I didn't notice. Regime.
Yes, yeah. Actually, Carnage had mentioned that in the comments. He said, "Did he say regime?" Yeah.
Just let me see if it's this one.
Not the best word choice, Mark. Man, there's a certain almost arrogance to him, eh? Like he comes in here like believing he's entitled to this, which is kind of interesting for a guy that's not even elected to parliament. But there's
I'm just
zero humility. He seems like a very I do want to see this. Does he snap on the women?
Yeah, it's like they question him, and he just sounds like such an ass. Like no, but he literally sounds like he's so entitled, because they start asking him about his pension, about his, because you're supposed, when you're in Canada, at least it clearly is not the same in the US, but there's, once you become prime minister, you need to put your assets in a blind trust.
Yep.
And a blind trust is just, you put somebody responsible to manage your money without
you don't know where it is
with their money. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that they're going to be involved, they're going to be subject to information that could lead to inside trader.
Sure.
Nancy Pelosi. And no, but this is what it is, right? So how long is this video? Because I have two videos that are two different. Is it this?
Canada today, your political opponent, Mr. Poilievre, said that.
No, that's still the same. So it is. Okay, I know which one it is now. Which one? 252.
Canada today,
guys, just while Nico's doing this, don't forget to smash that like button and share if you like what we're talking about today. Are we queued up there?
We've been discussing attacking us, putting tariffs on us. On the other hand, we have the.
Damn! What the hell did I do with that video?
All three are the same ones.
Yeah, no, but they look the same because they were taken at the same press conference.
Okay.
It's just, it seemed that I mislabeled them. My apologies.
No,
My apologies. But he was definitely. I have one that is super short. It's just like, it just shows the end. I'll still show that one because
if you want, I'll while we're doing the next.
No, here you go. It's just, I had a 3-minute one because he's super belligerent, but this one's a short one, but it proves the point. So this is 23 seconds long. So listen to this.
That those assets should be publicly disclosed within 120 days, which means you'll campaign in a coming federal election, most likely within the next 120 days, and are serving as prime minister now, with Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought to avoid.
What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance.
What? Bro, you're...
No, did you hear that? No, did you hear that? Like, hold on for 2 seconds. Just listen to what he's saying.
At the very end? All right.
Yeah.
Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought
What possible
to avoid.
conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final.
What did he say?
So for my English speaking people, he said point final. He's like, done. This is like,
it's just a really rude way to say it.
Done. Yeah, but the video
Okay.
I had found, he goes like this for 2.5 minutes. There's enough, because the reporter keeps on pushing. She's not taking it. She just continues to ask him questions. And then there's another girl that starts asking him question, and he treats her exactly the same. At one point, he even says, you know what? Those are things I don't like the way you approach this. It seems like you're negative from the get-go. So you need to give yourself a check internally.
No.
As to I swear to you,
I just sent you a video on WhatsApp that I think is the one you're talking about. It's like 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and I think it's him. If you wanted to put that up there.
Yep. It was Warren Kinsella, so it is.
Yeah.
It's the same guy. So
okay.
Yes.
Well, let's watch it. But just what I saw there, man. Holy, yeah.
Thanks for being...
Not just a pretty face. But what I saw there, man, like, holy hell, that's an absolutely normal question to ask a politician. Well, what conflicts could I have? I don't know, bro. You just were the fucking
you're worth like $80 million, bro.
Yeah, you're head of the central bank. You were the board of the WEF. You ran the fucking central bank in Canada. There's a billion fucking potential conflicts. That the fact that you answered it like that, like I'd be like, to me, that's a typical question. If he had just answered a generic way, no one would raise their eyebrows. But now I'm real curious. Now I'm real interested in what this guy has to say.
But it even goes even further. He starts talking about Poliev. He starts about literally flipping the script and saying, "Oh, it's look at Poliev. Like, here you go. I think you're right. This is the video."
Mr. Carney, Stephanie Levitz with the Globe and Mail.
Okay.
We understand that you have now placed your assets in a blind trust, so you don't know what's happening to them going forward, but you knew what they were going into that blind trust. So what are they?
Look, Stephanie, I follow the rules of the Ethics Commissioner. I'm following them well in advance of any of the requirements, as you know, because I know you know this. You know that these requirements come into effect in months. We're talking days after I became Prime Minister. So I'm complying with the rules of the Ethics Commissioner, going through the processes and all these things that are necessary. And I will remind you, and I'll remind Canadians again, that the Leader of the Opposition cannot find it. And look, you look at the questions this evening, you look at the nature of the discussions, look at the nature of discussions I had with the President of France, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The Leader of the Opposition would not be capable of having those discussions because the Leader of Opposition refuses to get his security clearance.
I don't care about the opposition
leader, a few weeks to get. And he has been the Leader of the Opposition for 3 years. So I comply with my responsibilities. I comply with the rules well in advance. And the Leader of the Opposition doesn't take his responsibilities at a time of, well, you should take these responsibilities at any time, but it's particularly remarkable given the stakes in global geopolitics at the moment.
The rules say that those assets should be publicly disclosed within 120 days, which means you'll campaign in a coming federal election, most likely within the next 120 days, and are serving as Prime Minister now, with Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought to avoid.
What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final.
Are you saying you are not going to any conflict of interest?
Yes.
Trump spent most of his life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary.
No, hold on.
You start from a
Let me just. This is the part that.
Okay.
Bro, he's such an ass, and this is a different woman. This is a different woman, but I respect. I don't know who that Stephanie girl is.
That was real journalism right there. That's how you ask a question.
A lefty in Canada that is pushing on another lefty. I have a chub. I have a chub right now. But listen to how
aware of what potential conflict.
Because her second point, and that's a second journalist, she keeps on pushing. Look at how much of an asshole he actually is.
Given the stakes in global geopolitics at the moment.
The rules say that those assets should be publicly disclosed within 120 days, which means you'll campaign in a coming federal election, most likely within the next 120 days, and are serving as Prime Minister now, with Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought to avoid.
What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final.
Are you saying you are not open to any conflict of interest?
Yes.
Trump spent most of his life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. I mean, you start from a prior of conflict and ill will. I have served in the private sector. I have stood up for Canada. I have left my roles in the private sector at a time of crisis for our country. I'm complying with all the rules. Your line of questioning is trying to invent new rules. I'm complying with the rules that Parliament has laid out and the responsibilities of the Ethics Commissioner. And I will continue to comply with those rules.
Oh man, I do not like how he answered that at all, because those were absolutely bog standard questions to ask any president, prime minister, what have you. And it's very easy to answer if there's nothing to hide, right? Like the way that he answered that is the biggest red flag on this issue. And to me, it suggests there's a strong conflict of interest, and I just don't like his personality whatsoever. Like, this is the bare minimum of pressure that you're going to face as prime minister, and you're acting like that already. I don't. I actually came a little open-minded because I don't know a whole lot about Carney. And
sorry, bro.
I'm no
sorry.
Yeah, no. I don't like this guy at all.
I know. Hold on. Before you take this, I want to applaud the women that were talking to him. I do not know who they are. I lost faith in Canadian journalism. I got it a bit back yesterday when I heard that. I'm like, you know what? High five, good fucking job.
They did a good job. They didn't they didn't let him get away with it.
But let me put my hat on for a second and push it even further, just a tiny bit. Why do you think he was praising himself on doing it already? He put his trust. He made it sound like he put his trust in a blind. He put his asset in a blind trust. No. He made it sound like he put his asset in a blind trust before even winning the leadership, even before, because he said that he did it before becoming prime minister. Is that not a red flag right there? What is the reason why you did it ahead of time? Because as she says, it only needs to be done within 120 days of the next election. He's like, oh yeah, but I already did it. Nothing to hide. On the contrary, bro. Why did you put it in a trust?
Full compliance.
Why are you in compliance before it's even a problem when you haven't been elected yet? It's not even a requirement right now. Why are you already doing it if you're not hiding something?
Look inside yourself, Rosemary.
Oh, what a ass.
What a prick, man. Dude, she's just asking an absolutely typical question. And the only reason, like, he's acting like she's hostile at him. The only reason she kept asking it is because you kept avoiding the fucking question. Buddy. Yeah, as Prairie says.
I love Carnage Hunger Games
now.
No, go lower. Go to Carnage Hunger Games.
I saw that one. Rob will slap some tinfoil sense into you quickly. Hey, I've got it. I'm not opposed to it. I guess it's just my left leaning nature. I'm not going to run head first into it. But if the case can be made, I'm there. I mean, I don't.
Just not a likable person.
No, and I'm actually surprised by that, because that's probably the most I've spent actually watching him. Certainly the only time I've seen him face any sort of resistance, and he turned into someone that I did not like at all. No,
he can't handle it. Look into yourself. Look inside yourself, because you're coming from a negative place. Like, seriously, bro?
Yeah.
So is that like, it's a valid question that I want to know as a guy. Because last time I checked, if I'm mistaken, Mark Carney's worth like $80 million.
Yeah.
Astronomical.
And just look at the jobs he's had, right? He's been head of the Central Bank of Canada. He did the same over in the UK. He's been on the board of the WEF. There's a million ways he could have conflicts of interest. And just
like she says, it's hard to believe. See, I go even further. I agree with her. You're going to have to show me that you don't have one. It's not, I don't think there is. No. Yeah. I know there's one somewhere. He's worth $96 billion as per the website I'm looking. Billion. Whoa.
Million.
96 million.
Be something.
Wow! It's Elon Musk. Yeah. No, but hold on. They're saying that around $96 million, but those things are all over the place, right? It's impossible.
It's a lot of money. There's plenty. He's definitely got enough money that he cannot get away with like acting shocked. What conflict could I possibly have? I don't know, Mark. You're worth what, 80 or 90 million? You tell us.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. nothing, obviously.
I didn't really think there was one until you answered the question in that way, and now I'm really curious. I hope that the Canadian media sticks on that, because that feels like there's some meat on that bone, and I hope they start chewing.
I want to show you guys something now that we're talking now that it's actually we're actually making it funny right now. Have you seen the new post by Justin Trudeau?
Oh, was that him in Canadian Tire? Just a regular dad, regular guy, just regular Justin.
But you know what was funny? I'm just going to show it super quick because it's just, you can find it. You can go check it out. Just go check it out because it's fucking hilarious. But right here. So you see it like, he's making it sound like, oh, but there's what people are saying are fucking
all
hilarious.
The memes and stuff.
Yeah, but I got a super clear video of it this morning, and if you look in his trolley, and his, how the fuck do you call those things?
Shopping carts.
Yeah, shopping cart. Thank you. If you look at his shopping cart, is like spatula and things to flip burgers, like it's like a starter kit from I just left my parents' place.
Yes,
the cheap black plastic at Canadian Tire. Well, it was like
he's probably got having a bit of an existential crisis right now. Just like, forget how you feel about him as a prime minister, just like as a guy, right? Like what his wife left him. Now he doesn't even have his job. What is he, 50 something years old? And in a way, it probably is like him leaving his parents' home. Like he probably feels like he's alone for the first time. And it's oh. Did Nico took off? No, he's back in. What happened to you?
I don't know.
Oh, fuck. Well, you're back in here now.
You know, the funny thing about Trudeau is that he's a millionaire, multiple time millionaire, left by his father. He has a massive pension.
Yeah.
You ain't fucking shopping at Canadian Tire.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like, you have people doing that shopping for you. And I like that he's wearing like the little hat with the undone hair underneath it with the jean jacket.
Yeah.
Like that dude, you know, the only thing that he's going to be hurting for is attention. Because that guy's an attention whore. Yep, like, obviously, did you see the last pictures? That's another thing for the people out there. Go watch his last post and go watch the last pictures that were taken by his professional photographer when he left office. He's staring at stuff. He's crying. Like there's about 7 pictures of him crying with different people. I'm like, man, he was
he's just my read on his personality is he's not going to do well in retirement. I think he needs eyes on him, and he needs to be the center of attention. You can tell he believes he's a very special snowflake. And
you know how long do we bet before he comes out as being gay? That's my next bet. How long do you think it's gonna? 100%. That's why his wife left him. Like this, obviously conspiracy right now.
I don't know.
But as soon as I heard he was getting,
I don't think he's gay. I just think he's not a masculine man, and I think it's
bisexual,
something like that. He'll like
that dude. Unlike me, he makes eye contact. That there's
oh yeah, he definitely makes eye contact. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let me reframe that. Would it be that hard of a sell that he comes out as gay?
It would.
It would literally surprise you. Like he comes out of the closet with his the way he screams like a moron all the time. Hey, would you be surprised? I wouldn't.
No. I mean, I feel like I don't know what he's gonna come. He's gonna have some second life, or he's gonna come back on something to be back in the spotlight again, and it might be something like that. It might be, it might be
what he's gonna do
coming out. But I mean, he's the kind of guy, like I could even see him come out as gay, even if he's straight, just for the attention. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, just for the intent.
Seems like that kind of guy.
You know, I think what's gonna happen is the same thing. I don't know if you heard about that, but Kamala Harris signed with a PR firm, people that deal with celebrities and find them engagements.
Yeah.
He's going to do the next thing you know, he's going to be in movies. He's going to be in movies playing homosexuals.
He's gonna. He's certainly going to be on like the Davos WEF circuit and trot around to the globalist.
More than that,
thing.
he's going to become like Don Lemon. He's going to have a show at home where he talks about the news. Oh Jesus! You know we haven't gotten rid of him. That's for sure. He's still going to be around.
It's not in his personality. He won't be able to just retire.
No,
he's gonna need.
So where do we go with this? Because there's a bunch of things I wanted to talk about. It seems like my video on nuclear fusion can wait. No, but this technology is not going anywhere. We can talk about it.
It's not time sensitive for sure.
It's just such a cool video because I'm a nerd. Yep. But the next thing I wanted to touch about this, we talked about it super fast yesterday because it was breaking news, but Mark Carney invites Zelensky to the G7 summit in Alberta.
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that? Like what purpose does it serve? But at the same time, I'm gonna post about this later on today, and it's gonna piss people off. But basically what I'm gonna say, and this is how I see it, Mark Carney inviting Zelensky, the dictator, to the G7 summit in Alberta makes sense, considering that the Liberal Party gave Yaroslav Hunka, the Ukrainian Nazi, a standing ovation in the House of Commons back in 2023. Do you remember that? When
Jason brings it up all the time.
The Speaker of the House is like, "Oh, okay, hold on. No, I got it."
Do you got a clip of it?
Bro, come on. Who you taking?
I was born with a clip of it.
Any chance I have to make them look ridiculous.
A standing ovation for a Ukrainian veteran of the Second World War.
He fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98.
Invited by House Speaker Anthony Rota to witness Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's address to Parliament, Yaroslav Hunka is one of his constituents.
He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service.
That was the jubilant scene Friday. Now new details have emerged about that war service MPs applauded. Hunka served in the 1st Galician Division, a voluntary unit commanded by the Nazis.
The unit is complicit in the Holocaust.
This Jewish human rights campaigner says there's no defending former soldiers like Hunka.
You swore allegiance to Hitler, and you were involved with the massacre of civilians.
Beautiful hair, though. Huh?
So it doesn't matter if you try and claim that you were defending against communism. You were still involved with the Nazi war machine.
The division's history.
So, when our leader now is inviting Zelensky, which has all the traits of a dictator when you look at what he's doing, to the G7 nation that he has no parts on, knowing that the US is there. So he is literally doing it on purpose because Trump is going to say something about this. It's just because it's not, I think it's in June or July, if I remember correctly, the G7
Yes,
summit.
I believe it's June.
But he's doing this. Again, Mark Carney's not an idiot.
Yep. He's doing
Let's agree that he's not an idiot.
No, he's not. And he's doing it to poke Donald Trump, and it's idiotic, right? It is absolutely idiotic the way that he is. Again, not saying that he's trying to keep the tariffs, but if he was trying to keep the tariffs, these are the things that he would be doing, right? And I think that's the way we need to sort of look at it. If let's just, for the sake of argument, assume that this conspiracy theory that we've put on this show or talked about a little bit, which if you're listening now and you haven't, just very quickly, the idea is that Mark Carney doesn't actually want to get rid of tariffs. He wants to use them to declare a state of emergency so that he can start handing out money like CERB or some form of a UBI, get people addicted to it, and then it's 6 months, 8 months, call an election, and then of course the conservatives will be forced to run on cutting off that money. And he's basically expecting to buy the election. Now, this is a theory that was put forward to us by Jason Levine on the Levine Show. It had the ring of truth to us, and then we to us. What's really
Okay,
funny,
Justin.
I'm gonna
stop it.
I'm gonna point my girlfriend to that because she's gonna die laughing. So I actually have a list. I grew up with a lisp, and I went to speech therapy as a kid. But sometimes when I'm talking, it comes out, and she thinks it's hilarious when it does.
You know what? I didn't realize it. I didn't realize you grew up with a lisp. But
No.
sorry,
It
stop.
was the big lisp.
But you know what? If you do it in front of me, I'm gonna laugh at you no matter what.
No, I mean I would too. I mean,
okay, Tyson.
I was hoping I could get away and no one noticed. But if you're gonna call me on it, I mean, I got it. Yeah, Zing. Yeah. No, she'll love that. She'll think that's so funny.
Just for you.
Yes, of course. But yeah. So that is a theory that we're working on, and like we said, we don't know that it's true, but if it were true, if we assume that it's true, then Mark Carney's doing everything he's done is exactly what he would be doing. So something to keep an eye on, for sure.
That's all I had to say about this. Like, I just wanted to make it fast since we already addressed it. It will come back, don't worry. We will talk about this again when it gets closer to that date, but
yes,
right now I think that I'm oh Jesus, there's some of the message there. Sorry, Tony, I don't know that I want to show that, but I agree with you about the plugs in HAL 5. Tony G saying that he's probably referring to Justin Trudeau. He's trisexual. Justin Trudeau's probably the type that, you know what? I see him sleeping with women, with dudes, and masturbating to himself.
Just whoever's there.
No, but I think he's the type to look at himself in the mirror and just masturbate with his own tears.
He definitely, you can tell that he thinks he's a special kind of fella. He's a special guy.
Oh, he's special. He's
a very special guy. Yeah, he's special. He's a very special guy.
We're having a Harold and Kumar moment. 100%,
yes,
with eye contact.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's laughable.
We're breaking our own rules here.
I love how they're laughing they're laughing together. Good Tony G, true story. I'm cracking up here. Let's see what else we got. And I agree with Carnage here, saying that pisses me off so much. Clapping seals for a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but I don't clap for people I don't know. Sorry. Well, like, am I wrong here?
Yeah. Like Jason says here, this asshat saying he fought against the Russians in World War II should have been the clue. Yeah. That's who fought against the Russians. It was the Nazis. That's literally only it. That's the only side that was fighting against the Russians. But yeah, just
saying.
Yeah,
but let's clap because he's a hero.
Yeah, of course. And honestly, these people, it just shows how stupid that, because like I'm sure they didn't think twice about it. They just knew the guy beside them was clapping, the guy over there is clapping. I better clap too.
Oh yeah, because as much as I'm making fun of liberals, everybody was clapping. The conservatives were clapping too. It's just the Speaker of the House was a liberal, so it's his fault, right? He brought this shit up, but it shows you how our leaders are not that smart. Like, it really just showed you that they're like, people are clapping.
Follow the crowd.
They should clap.
Follow the crowd.
I wanted to bring up, this is the last thing we'll bring up because I'll push my nuclear fusion video again. That's like, I'm almost sad. No, it's okay. I'll
get off, and your wife will be like, "Did you get to play your nuclear fusion, dear?" And you're like, "No, maybe tomorrow."
I'll go cry to myself after here.
Honey, they wouldn't let me play the video.
It still hasn't happened. When will it actually work out for me?
Stroke your head. It'll happen, dear. One day it'll happen for you.
It is my thing. Thanks for mentioning that. I like when people rub the ball spot, like the massive bald spot in the back.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place. Thank you.
That's your go-to spot.
That's my go-to spot. So the thing we wanted, last thing we're going to speak about, because we had Billboard Chris on the show. Hold on. I'm going to try to get better at this. Oh, so before I just changed the title. Hey,
liberals
are outraged by Billboard Chris. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
do we have some? Okay, good idea.
I got some outrage.
Good. I love it.
So it's just to put it into perspective, we're talking about a post that Billboard Chris, someone that was on the show a couple of weeks ago, he's a big, his definition, oh shit, I have his profile right here. Father of 2 girls, traveling the world, exposing gender ideology and why children cannot consent to medical transition. That is who Billboard Chris is. Massive audience, very well-spoken individual, but he posted something a couple of days ago that is outraging. That is outraging. That's causing an outrage. Let's say it that way. The liberals, it's outraging. It's an outrage. And see, this is the original post, which, oh Jesus,
they look so similar, eh? They look identical.
But it was at 508K when I looked at it this morning. Like, it literally almost added like 25% from this morning alone. But basically, all he said, and I'm gonna make it bigger here. There you go. So basically, all he said: Canada's new prime minister has a child who identifies as non-binary, of course. Mark Carney is for they, them. Who is for you? Question mark. And if you look at the actual picture here, that is the picture of a dude that looks exactly like his father, or a woman that looks exactly like his father. But it basically says Sasha Carney, 24, went to Yale University and uses they, them pronoun. So this is what's causing an outrage right now, because liberals are saying that he's...
That's it. They're saying he's attacking her. I mean, that isn't attacking.
No. And, you know, if you look here, like, this is the type of stuff I wanted to show. So going after people's kids, he's 24, she's 24, whatever the fuck he is. They, them is 24. He ain't a kid who has done literally zero harm to you, living their best lives. Every time they say that, living their best lives, you know they're a massive leftist, right? Living their best lives. But all to say that he's attacking Billboard Chris. Billboard Chris did not attack anybody.
No. He's not trying to take her away, and he was right. I think
Chris talks about this stuff all the time. He's basically saying that our new prime minister has a they-them entity as their kids. That's all he said. He didn't say that dude shouldn't be prime minister. He didn't say that shouldn't be allowed to be they-them. All he said is that his son/daughter is they-them. That's it. That's all he said. But then it goes on and on and on. You just look, like, here's another one.
If you go down,
vile crap. And again, all those guys look alike.
If you understand Chris's activism, he's not attacking their child. Like, Chris's activism is based on this idea that whole, like, any parent who would put their child through that, who would put their child on puberty blockers, is at worst severely lacking in judgment. And as you know, as prime minister, that's a valid criticism.
And it's not an attack. It's not an attack. He made a valid point. But again, after going after his wife, they're now going after his child. You people have I
never saw anyone go after his wife, but I mean, if that's the case, I think that should be off limits. I'm sure
you know what? If you saw his wife, you wouldn't go after her either.
Yeah. And I don't think Billboard Chris went after his wife or anything.
Billboard Chris seems like a real piece of shit. Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, I mean,
it's just...
He's right. Oh, it's in his wheelhouse. He understands about puberty blockers. He knows the dangers to kids. So, I mean, for him to raise concerns about the judgment of a man who would put their child through that is a valid criticism, in my opinion.
Billboard Chris is an appropriate name since he reminds us all that he is for sale. I saw that question and I actually responded to it. Would you take $100,000 to become an American? Canadians, if anyone in your family was offered $100,000, would you join the United States?
Interesting.
But yet that somehow makes him a shitty person to ask that question, when if you look at the results, there were thousands of people that actually participated, and I think it was a 90% yes. So he's basically showing that a lot of Canadians are like, we don't like what's going on right now. So it's just, you know, I just found it very, very interesting, and this is why that was the question of the day, right?
Yeah,
should you go after politicians, grown children, adults, children, or should they be off limit? This
Well,
is not attacking
No,
anybody.
exactly. That's not going after. And I think we got it right. I think with here with Jason said it, and me and you both agreed. Basically, if the kid is not political, leave them alone. That said, even what Chris did here was not attacking that his daughter. He had to mention the Mark Carney's child because that was relevant to the criticism he was making of Mark Carney. But he was not.
Is that the type of guy we should trust, considering that he has a son that's like that? When Chris, that's all he talks about.
If he would do that to his own child, you know, that's a valid criticism. Do we want this person as prime minister?
And I want to add to this because that's what I was telling people this morning. Like I saw a bunch of those posts on my feed, and I started responding to people saying, "Hey, guy," because they're saying you shouldn't go after their kids. You know what?
To try and deliver this speech with as much grace.
Just so you know, this is Carney's daughter that introduced him 8 days ago. She went on stage to introduce him.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is the same person we're talking about.
As in, is in that picture? No, can't be. I don't think so.
I don't know. That's what I was telling you earlier. I don't think it's the same person. No, because that's what I was telling you earlier. There's a boy. There seemed to be a boy associating one and a girl associating one.
Yeah, she definitely.
But the point of the matter is that people were complaining that you shouldn't go after politicians' kids, grown kids, adult kids. Yet she was on stage in front of millions of people watching, introducing her father. I'm
going to try and deliver this speech with as much grace and poise as Ella Grace.
And Ella Grace is the daughter of Justin Trudeau, as you can see right here.
I, too, am introducing my father tonight because I want Canadians to understand what kind of a man he is.
So you know what? Right then and there, you stepped into the public eye. Guess what? You're gonna receive some criticism. It's like me saying that I make millions and millions and millions of views every month that people are not allowed to criticize me. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm fully aware that if I put my opinion out there, I'm going to get attacked for it. That is part of the deal. If you want to go on stage in front of millions of people, just like I do, and talk about this shit, guess what? You're putting yourself in the crossfire. You are.
Yeah.
Is it right? Is it right? Is it wrong? I wouldn't do it. But at the same time, are you surprised that people are? You can't. If you are, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, I think I don't know how old that girl is. She looked pretty young. If she's a minor, then obviously she should be left alone for sure.
So does that mean we weren't able to criticize Greta Thunberg because she was a minor?
No. So that's different. And I even I think this girl introducing her father just like that. I don't necessarily think that's jumping into the political arena. Greta Thunberg, on the other hand, absolutely is. I think she is fair game at any age, just because of how active. It just well, that sounded bad. I just mean because she came on the scene and she was like 13 years old, right? But she was aggressively, aggressive interactivism, and it was so aggressive that. Again, I'm not even going to make an issue about her activism, but just you have to expect to be fair game in that once you sort of come out that hard the way that she did. Jason, private jet Greta. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just classic, just same as all the other hypocrites, right? Telling us to eat bugs while they fly their private jets to the climate conference. People are sick of it.
That's it. We're 5 minutes overdue, over what we should. I still had one to go. You know what? Let's address it super fast.
Yeah.
I want to show you a video because this is gonna send you on a rampage. I'm gonna use that time to go pee. It's just I know how to trigger you now, right? You're
okay.
I understand you just like I understand Trump.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I can trigger you, as you were saying. So I'll play this.
Transgender service members in the United States Navy have until March 28th to voluntarily leave the service before being forced to do so. The Navy says its policy is in line with the Defense Department's new rule, saying service members who choose to depart before the deadline will be eligible for separation pay, which is twice as much as they would get if they are later discharged. Those who decide to take voluntary separation by the deadline will get double the normal involuntary separation, which is typically 10% of service members' annual base pay multiplied by years of service. Some transgender military personnel have served more than a decade, and separation payments could be more than $100,000 even before being doubled, and bonuses could reach up to hundreds of thousands of dollars as well. Since the Pentagon revealed its new policy, each of the armed service departments released their own memos on how they will follow through on the transgender ban and offer voluntary separation. The Army and Air Force give transgender members until March 26th to choose voluntary separation. A pair of lawsuits against the policy, however, are threatening to put the ban on hold. A federal judge says she expects to make a ruling soon on whether to block the ban from taking effect while the lawsuit plays out. The DoD is working to remove transgender people from the military because of an executive order by President Donald Trump, which claims being transgender is not consistent with the humility and selflessness required of a service member. Military members can get a waiver, but they're so strict, advocates argue they're almost impossible to fulfill.
Yeah, I mean, so like it didn't necessarily trigger me. I think that I agree that I think that I don't like the way they framed it, like, you know, as a sort of personal terms. I just don't think transgender, as someone who served, they're not really deployable. Because of all the medical issues that they have, right? They've got to be, they have to have their hormones and this and that. And so, you know, in the military, you have to be deployable. If you're not deployable, you are of no use to the military. But from what I understand, there's many transgender people who have waivers saying they don't need to be deployable. So it's like, why are you in the military? Why is the military paying you a salary if you are not deployable? To me, that's the issue. It's a practical thing. You know, for him to say, when he said, like, you know, it's because they're too selfish or something. I wish they hadn't gone down that route. I would like just to stick with the practical aspect of deployability. But if you're, you know, if you need any medication, like people with diabetes are not deployable either because they need their medication regularly. If you are on hormones and you need that regularly, you are not deployable. You know, and Jason, this is the U.S. military. No, they would never kick people out of the Canadian Navy for being trans.
Actually, it's a requirement to be confused about your own gender. That's a requirement to be in the Canadian Army now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, you're not you're not confused now. We don't want
you're not. But see, this is look at this. This is the disqualification conditions to join the Navy.
Yeah,
psychotic disorder,
and there's a lot of that too.
Schizophrenia, paranoia, mood disorder, major depression, bipolar disorder, depressive disorder, anxiety disorders, suicidal behavior, and you know that trans have a very high percentage of suicidal behavior. They obviously have a psychological problem because body dysmorphia, body dysphoria, gender dysphoria, however the fuck you want to call it, is considered a mental illness even to this day. So why is it that somebody that is depressed cannot join the military, cannot join the Navy, but somebody that is not capable of coming to peace with their own sex is allowed? If you have a medical issue, a mental illness, and I can't join the military because of that, there shouldn't be any fucking difference with a transgender person because it is a mental illness. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're the ones who say that, right? When they tell us that if we don't give them this treatment, they will kill themselves. That like, people who are mentally healthy don't kill themselves, right? Like that's just not something that happens. So it's funny how on the one hand they'll make that argument, but then say, but it's not a mental illness. But no, you guys just told us that this kid's going to kill himself if we don't cut his penis off. You know, I mean, that sounds like a mental illness to me. But they want it both
How
ways.
dare you? How
Yeah,
dare
I
you?
know.
Why do you hate women
Just
so much?
hate. Yes, of course. Just hating the.
But
hating
it's the irony of it all that is I'm trying to expose, because you can't, as you said, you can't tell me on one side that you do have a problem that needs medication, and if you don't have that medication, it's going to kill you.
You're gonna kill yourself.
But then tell me that you don't have a mental illness.
Yeah,
Like, brother,
that's not how it works.
which one is it? Which
Yeah.
one is it? Which
Yeah,
one is it?
exactly.
Hey, men, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We went through 6 subjects in one show, and we're barely 15 minutes over. That's not bad. That's a record. Yesterday we went almost 2.5 hours for 3 subjects.
Yeah.
Bam, boom.
Yeah, just so Jason says, in that case, this is nonsense. Female soldiers get pregnant. They are not deployable. People who work in JAG, lawyers, are not deployable. Yeah, but female soldiers are not deployable while they're pregnant, but then they are afterwards. If you're taking hormones as a transgender person, then you are going to be permanently non-deployable. I mean, if you're not taking any sort of hormones, any sort of surgeries, don't have any medical conditions, okay, sure, but like you're still going to be referred to by your birth sex. Like you can't make the rest of the military go along with your delusion, right? That you're the opposite sex when we all know you're not. That would be just really bad for morale. It would hurt unit cohesion. If you want to just, on the weekends wear a dress out to the bar, that's cool. I don't think someone should be kicked out of the military for that. But I don't think other military members should be forced to go along with the idea that this man is actually a woman if they don't believe that humans can change sex.
There was a guy that made a valid point. I should have taken his name to quote him, but there was a guy online this morning that was saying technically that means that transgenders, because as we're describing, they have a mental illness. This is plain and simple. It's even doctors consider it a mental illness. So I'm not making shit up here.
Yeah,
DSM-5, exactly. So the guy's saying basically those people lied on their applications saying that they did not have a mental illness. So the fact that, and he made a valid point, and this is absolutely true. Why is it if somebody lied on their application, further down the road, it's discovered that he does have a mental illness that is not transgenderism or body dysphoria or body dysmorphia, they would get kicked out. They would get kicked out of the army. Now they're getting the opportunity to not even get kicked out, to still get benefits. When
well, do you know what I mean?
It's like,
I agree with that. I like that they get a bonus and doubled, and I think that's fair. I think it is fair, but I think I do agree with it. If you need medication permanently, and Jason was just saying here,
he's calling back. Hold on, he's calling back one of his own comments.
Hormone therapy.
He's calling back.
Is a lifelong thing. It is. It's considered, like insulin for diabetics, something you're always going to have to take. And so I think, I think that would make them not deployable. If there was no medical condition, sure, I guess that's whatever. But then there's nothing that really makes you transgender other than that you say you are. And of course, anyone can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
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 With that, I think this, guys, thank you so much for being here. It was a great show. Got a ton, by far the most comments we've ever had, and actually, by far the most probably viewers we ever had too. So, guys, we can't thank you guys enough for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us today, so we appreciate that. And Nico, you want to take us off?
Yeah, guys, thank you for being here. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for the comments. Without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. We tried one episode with Billboard Chris, and there was nobody there. It's just weird.
There's no energy.
I've been doing lives for so long that it was just weird. So we're very happy that you're here. Make sure that if you're not following us right now, like all the information's at the bottom of the screen, but if you want to follow Rob, make sure to follow him at Rob_the Builder on X. If you make sure to follow the show at the Political Orphans on both X and YouTube. And if you want to follow me, I'm on every single platform, but please follow me on X at Real Nico Lagan. and we will see you tomorrow.
Yes.
See you then.
And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, Jason. Jason will be here with us as our Wednesday contributor. And other than that, we'll see the rest of you guys tomorrow as well.